with the human rights, the right to a clean and healthy environment, that is in Clause 3, human rights principle of participation, that is in Clause 2B, C, and D, and environmental and social impact assessment, that is in Clause 67 of the bill, provision of bribery, Clause 114 provides for the offense of bribery punishable by payment of a fine and imprisonment, and this will help fight against corruption tendencies which significantly hamper the sustainable enjoyment of human rights and freedoms. The bill is also compliant with the right to access to information. Clause 135 of the bill recognizes the need to right to access to information for all citizens. The right to food, Clause 136 of the bill, provides for formulation of several regulations that will facilitate the enjoyment of the rights and freedoms of all Ugandans. Right Honorable Speaker, I now move to page 12 on committee observations and recommendations. Clause 96 of the bill provides for licensing of the fish maw exporters and processors. Fish maw is a byproduct from the Nile perch that is said to be very lucrative. During its interaction with the traders, the committee was informed that the bill in its current form would create monopoly powers to the individuals already trading, processing, and exporting of fish maw. The committee also learned that there is no gazetted size of fish maws because it is impractical to determine the size of a body part of fish. The committee further learned that there is an import duty of 6% produced on fish maw business in Uganda. This was causing some investors to shift to Tanzania, which shares 51% of Lake Victoria and Kenya 6% of shoreline, thereby affecting export earnings in Uganda with 43% of Lake Victoria. The committee is concerned that if this is not checked and controlled, the fish maw export in Uganda will decline, local industries will close, leading to loss of employment, and export revenue will decline since most industries were already migrating. The committee therefore recommends that in making the regulations, the minister should ensure that there are clear provisions relating to fish maw gutting and gazetted places for purposes of buying and selling of fish. The committee also recommends that the regulations should ensure that there are friendly licensing procedures and that local Ugandans with limited capital are able to stay in the fish maw business. It is the recommendation of the committee that the country should aim at harmonizing its tax laws with other East African countries in relation to fish maws in order for it to compete favorably in the fish maw trade. The committee thinks incentives like tax holidays and VAT exemptions for importers of fish maws should be given in order to encourage more investment in fish maw business. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, on illegal fishing, unreported fishing, and illegal gears, the committee recommends, observes, and recommends that the Uganda National Bureau of Standards and Uganda Revenue Authority should crack a whip to ensure that no illegal fishing gear is imported into the country. There should be a total ban on illegal fishing gear, and those already in the country should be confiscated and destroyed. The committee also recommends that the importers and users of illegal fishing gear be penalized according to law. The committee recommends that government increases funding for fisheries and enforcement activities to boost fisheries management. In particular, government should provide adequate financial support to enable provision of patrol boats to monitor and control illegal fishing operations. It should also install reliable communication systems on existing government surveillance boats. Community-based fisheries management committees need to be strengthened to enable effective monitoring of nearshore fishing activities, and inspection needs to be conducted on transit trucks suspected to have contraband goods, either in the country or at the point of exit, and culprits be punished according to the law. Government should come up with a strategy to give technical assistance to fishers on equipment maintenance, since they seem to be struggling. On fisheries management and governance, Right Honorable Speaker, this is about how the fisheries subsector was managed. The committee observed that before decentralization, the sector was run on a centralized model with the teams of regional and local officers policing the use of fisheries resources, while the center decided policy and drafted laws to fishing communities. But the enforcement of decentralization policy later weakened the fisheries governance, and it has since then undergone changes in management and control, whereby in 2004, the beach management units were established to co-manage the fisheries resources. Later on, Right Honorable Speaker, parallel fisheries enforcement agencies came into place, which led to the breakdown in law and order in the sector. The Association of Fishers and Lake Users of Uganda, commonly known as AFALU, was also formed, and it was established purposely to create an awareness platform, but later turned into an enforcement agent. Right Honorable Speaker, in 2015, following a presidential directive, most of these management units were abolished and suspended. And an interim measure, the Fish Landing Sites Committee, were put in place. Government later put in place the Fisheries Protection Unit, consisting of Uganda People's Defense Forces, who have been carrying the enforcement work, and since then, a number of fish industries that had closed have since reopened, but reports of torture and gross human abuse continue to be received. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, when the committee interacted with the Ministry of Defense over this bill, this allegation of torture by the FPU was denied. But the fact that the FPU are too few and poorly facilitated came out strong in the interaction with the Ministry of Defense. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee notes that after the presidential directive, no efforts were made to legalize the FPU. Its establishment is not supported by law. The committee recommends as follows: that the personnel who will be charged with the enforcement of the law under the fisheries sector be equipped with the requisite knowledge in fisheries and aquaculture, and their training be done by the Uganda Police Force, since the police is charged with the preservation of law and order to detect crime. The committee also recommends that the offenses under the law should be strictly tried within their respective magisterial jurisdiction. On fish licenses and levies, the committee notes that the bill focuses on centralizing all licenses, making accessibility to the services very inconveniencing and extremely expensive. It therefore recommends that some fishing licenses, like movement permits, bicycle permits, motorcycle permits, among others, should be decentralized to local governments to ease accessibility. This will be cost-effective because districts or local governments are near the communities. The committee notes that Uganda has a gradually expanding aquaculture subsector. Aquaculture continued to grow at an estimated rate of 6%, with an estimated production of 110 metric tons from 3,000 cages and 20,000 from an estimated 13,000 fish farmers. The source of the information is there indicated. Right Honourable Speaker, the recommendation by the committee is that government puts in place investment incentives and ensure that there is a conducive environment to strengthen commercial aquaculture. The committee also recommends that extension services be expanded to help in capacity development because aquaculture demands knowledge, technology, and a lot of skill. Government should ensure availability of quality inputs like feeds and fingerlings that will help to improve the quality and quantity of feeds available to the fish farmers. On support to the Fisheries Research Institute, the committee observed that in order to support research and innovation in all aspects of fisheries and aquaculture, there is need to support research in fisheries. The committee notes that research is critical in achieving increased and sustainable fish production, especially under the changing fisheries environment. The committee noted that currently the National Fisheries Resources Institute is the only institute mandated to generate and disseminate appropriate technology, knowledge, and information through conducting fisheries research, and yet it is not adequately funded. Committee recommends government should support promotion of research and innovation in all aspects of fisheries and aquaculture. Researchers need to be supported to research on several fisheries activities that include fish breeding, fish feed formulation, nutrition, disease management, improved fish processing technologies, solar tank dryers, high-tech specialized equipment, use of ICT, collection, marketing, monitoring, and surveillance. On the types of fish and net sizes for capture fisheries, Clause 109 of the bill provides for undersized fish. However, the committee observed that there are different capture fisheries in the different waters in the country, and the types are Nile perch, gege, Nile tilapia, that is gege, Nile perch, the other one, bagrus, that one, semutundu, yes, emale, emamba, and nkolongo. The committee notes that the ministry considers only two types of fish, Nile perch and tilapia, leaving these other species mentioned above. The bill therefore seeks to regulate these concerns, and the committee recommends that in coming up with the regulations, the minister should ensure that all fish species are regulated. Funding to the sector, the committee noted with concern that the agricultural sector has a lot of challenges of underfunding, with the fisheries being the most affected with the lowest portion of the sector budget. The committee notes that the 5th special session of Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization Council of Ministers held on the 28th May 2010, where Uganda participated, approved the establishment and operationalization of a fish levy trust fund by March 2011. The meeting urged partner states to put in place legislations and guidelines for establishment and operationalization of the Fish Levy Trust Fund. Subsequently, the other partner states with whom Uganda shares Lake Victoria have come up with the legislations to support sustainable financing mechanism. Uganda is yet to take steps. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee was concerned that the Fish Amendment Bill 2011 introduced the Fish Fund, which the bill is repealing without providing an alternative. The committee recommends that government should ensure adequate allocation of resources to support all activities, all the fisheries value chain. On inadequate knowledge on the status of fish stocks in the water bodies, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee noted that though Uganda has an array of water bodies which contribute to the national fisheries sector, fish stocks data from most of these water bodies and swamps is largely unavailable. The committee recommends that funding be provided to facilitate collection of statistics of fish stocks in all water bodies. The necessary deep water research equipment be provided to enable proper survey and should be procured. Public education and community management programs and fisheries resource management and utilization be established, and routine carrying out of fish stock surveys for all species of fish on all water bodies be done. On wetlands, fish breeding areas, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the committee noted that wetlands play crucial roles in water purification, act as breeding areas for fish, and provide refugia, that is a place of refuge for threatened fish species, and degradation thus affecting aquatic lives. The committee recommends that specific breeding areas be identified and gazetted so that access to them is restricted. The use of marine protected areas in an efficient and effective way of achieving various fisheries and biodiversity conservation objectives in most aquatic ecosystems. The committee also recommends that government should protect the water catchment areas and water quality in general that are endangered by activities such as agriculture, urbanization, and industrialization that pollute the rivers, lakes, and wetlands. On diseases outbreaks in fisheries, the committee observed that Clause 75 provides for notice of diseases. The committee also noted that currently there are cases of disease outbreaks in capture fisheries. The committee notes that the bill has only 2 clauses under Part 6, Regulation of Aquaculture, aimed at management of diseases in aquaculture are also vulnerable to introduction of pathogens with very devastating socio-economic and political effects. The committee recommends as follows: that government, through the chief fisheries officers, constitute a team to undertake the aquatic animal health activities on water bodies. The team will be responsible for developing and regularly updating the national list of aquatic animals, disease-causing agents, undertake a regular monitoring and surveillance of the listed disease-causing agents, develop biosecurity and biosafety measures, and support stakeholders in the implementation of the measures and monitor compliance, including aquaculture, establishments, and fish grounds plan, and respond and manage emerging or re-emerging of pathogens in all aquatic systems. The committee also recommends that measures be put in place to control diseases and should be all-encompassing to include all factors affecting fish, aquatic plants, or aquatic products, given the impact of any disease on aquatic organisms and ultimately on the people. On the landing site management, the committee observes that Clause 37 provides for establishment of landing sites throughout Uganda. The committee was cognizant of the fact that there are very poor sanitary conditions at most of the landing sites, and the committee therefore recommends that government ensures improvement of hygiene at landing sites by ensuring that there is provision of sanitary facilities. There should be stringent measures and penalties for non-compliance. The committee also recommends that indigenous fishing communities be considered and empowered to contribute to the use and conservation of lakes. Landing sites authorities should be allowed to constitute village committees. This will help to empower communities around the lakes and also ensure sustainable use and management of lakes within their jurisdiction. With such enforcements and regulations in place, issues like dumping and other forms of misuse of lakes will be mitigated. On infrastructure for post-harvest management, the committee observes that Part 7 of the bill provides for post-harvest management, that is fish safety and quality assurance. The committee was informed that post-harvest losses range between 15% to 20%, mainly due to weather dependence and poor handling technologies. The challenge has been the high cost of cooling facilities as well as the price of ice itself. The committee therefore recommends that government comes up with mechanisms and interventions to support local manufacturers to invest in value addition and fish-grade packaging materials to prevent contamination of fish products. The committee recommends that government construct ice-making machines at gazetted landing sites. It should also subsidize on the cost of cooling facilities to enable more private investment in the coolers. The committee further recommends that proper facilities like drying racks, smoking kilns, and fish handling slabs be installed at landing sites to address the problem of post-harvest handling, which leads to aggravated post-harvest losses. On fish laboratories, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the committee was concerned that currently there is only one fish laboratory, which is located in Entebbe. The laboratory is used to test microbiology and pollutants to ensure safety and quality of the product to the consumers. The committee wishes to report that when fish is exported and the content of the microbiology and pollutants is above the limit, the product is returned. The committee therefore recommends that government considers establishing regional laboratories to save fisheries stakeholders from having to travel all the way to Entebbe whenever they need fish laboratory services. The committee also recommends that these laboratories should be used for testing feed for fish farming, temporary fish storage, and fish exhibits in a bid to ensure proper fish safety and quality assurance. On overfishing, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the committee observed that there has been overfishing in the water bodies, which has led to decline in fish stocks. Overfishing is partly attributed to increased population pressure combined with rapid commercialization of the sector. The committee therefore recommends as follows: that lakes and other water bodies be given a break to allow fish resources to regenerate to avoid depletion. The committee notes that fish holidays is one of the best practices already implemented by other countries globally. The fishing holiday will give room for aquatic species to multiply and grow steadily without interruption. The committee also recommends that government implements restriction on fishing in closed areas. On transboundary resources, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee noted that many of Uganda's water bodies are shared with the neighboring countries, and there is inconsistency in implementation of appropriate fisheries and aquaculture policies, especially across these shared water bodies, both within the country and those shared with other countries. The committee recommends that, in the spirit of Pan-East Africanism, there should be regional cooperative efforts of managing inter-jurisdiction transboundary fisheries through regional fisheries bodies like the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization. The committee recommends too that government ensures adherence to the law through cooperating with the lake management organization and fisheries management organizations at regional, national levels, local governments, and landing site fisheries management committees in the management of transboundary resources. The committee further recommends that government negotiates and implements appropriate instruments between the fish management authorities of concerned countries in the region and their stakeholders. Clause 33 provides for cooperation with lake management organizations, fisheries management organizations, and land site fisheries management committees in the management of transboundary resources. It is the view of the committee that transboundary resources are subject to international law with the requisite knowledge to ensure that Uganda doesn't breach its obligations under the international law. And the committee recommends there should be clear definition of common regional principles that guide cooperative fisheries management. The responsible bodies should formulate and distribute the principles. The Committee on Insecurity on the Water Bodies, the committee was informed that there is a big threat posed on water bodies by armed groups, gangs from within and outside the country. The committee learned that armed groups of fishers from the DR Congo neighboring country attacked and killed some officers and some fishers on Lake Edward in 2018. The areas most dominated by foreigners include Kiindi, Katosi, Kalabi, Buvuma, Kasali, Luazi, Bukakata, Dolwe, and the rest. The committee was informed that non-Ugandans do not obey the laws in Uganda. They fish during prohibited hours and anytime they feel like fishing. The committee recommends that government initiates negotiations of enforceable transboundary protocols. The committee also recommends that government explores anti-corruption measures, including whistleblower arrangements that can be applied at all levels of the fish subsector. On abuse and torture under fishing communities by the enforcement unit, the committee was informed that communities have continued to experience this. And the committee recommends that the Fisheries Monitoring, Control and Surveillance Unit should enforce compliance in accordance to the law and any other written law relating to the activities under the Act. The committee also recommends that the management of fisheries products, and aquaculture be in favor of the ordinary citizens. This will contribute to equity, quality, and sustainable fishing. On traditional fishing communities, the committee observes that people who derive their livelihood and existence on water bodies with no alternatives or incentives given must be considered in order to protect and preserve some cultures of fishing communities. The committee recommends as follows: that human rights of marginalized people should be respected as per Article 32 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, that the vulnerable groups be included in lake management organizations which coordinate the planning and management of lakes. The committee also recommends that fishing communities be encouraged to come up with alternative means of earning a living instead of solely depending on fishing. The alternative source of income will enable the fishers to implement fish holiday. On environmental degradation and climate change, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the committee noted that the bill provides for the control and regulation of all fisheries and aquaculture production activities and practices in an integrated manner to achieve conservation and sustainable economic, social, and environmental benefits for the present and future generations. To achieve this, the committee observes that fish breeding and nursery areas should be focused on as critical areas for conservation. Some of the districts that are affected by degrading and sand mining in the lake are Masaka, Kampala, Wakiso, and Buikwe districts. The committee is further concerned about the factories, flower gardens along the shores, sand mines, which are destroying water bodies and affecting aquatic lives. The committee recommends that government should ensure that the fish breeding and nursery areas be protected by gazetting them. The committee also recommends that government ensures that the responsible agencies protect fish habitats by stoppage of sand mining in the lakes, which has greatly affected aquatic lives. The committee further recommends that human activities be regulated to prevent destruction of the environment along lake shores, as well as carrying out wetland restoration activities. On resurgence of water hyacinths and other aquatic weeds, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the committee noted that when the Uganda-Egypt aquatic weed control project was phased out in 2016, the water hyacinth resurged, covering most of the landing sites on Lake Victoria. There is also a fast-growing Salvinia molesta, that is caliber weed, which forms dense mats that affect the fish and fishermen activities. The committee recommends that Ministry of Agriculture comes up with a sustainable financing mechanisms to enable plowback of revenue from fisheries into fisheries and aquaculture management and development. Some of the funds, if raised, could be used to control evasion of water bodies by the weeds. On illegal settlements on the SADS, the committee learned that there are several illegal settlements on the SADS and floating vegetation on some water bodies. Such settlements greatly contribute to illegalities and pollution on the lakes. Furthermore, there is a concern that such settlements harbor criminals with destructive fishing methods and a high risk to the lives of the fishing communities. The committee therefore recommends that such settlements on SADS be taken as illegal and be criminalized by law. In conclusion, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, the fisheries subsector in Uganda benefits. However, aquatic sources, although renewable, are not infinite. Fisheries needs proper management if the continued contribution to the nutritional, economic, and social well-being of Uganda's growing population is to be sustained. The bill therefore provides for a harmonized and progressive legal framework to enable the fisheries and aquaculture subsector to develop and address persistent emerging issues. The bill provides for the conservation, sustainable management, utilization, and development of the fisheries subsector, as well as conserving the environment. Lastly, it is the committee's considered opinion that efforts be put towards promotion of diversified fish production system and fish products in order to realize the full potential of the fisheries subsector. The provisions in the bill aim at building a sustainable fisheries subsector which will boost incomes of those engaged in fishing and ensure more foreign currency earnings to the country. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, I thank you for your attention. I beg to report.
Thank you so much, Honorable Korimo, Chair Agriculture, and thank you for the comprehensive report. And as you've heard from the Chair, that the fishing industry is a source of income, employment, food, and it's upon that we are bringing in this bill. I am opening a debate under Rule 130, Sub-Rule 3, minimum debate on this report. Don't forget that you have the clauses to look at, because you want to debate on the report, all of you, instead of looking at the clauses one by one. The bill is just helping you to understand what it is. Is that Milton? Minimum debate of 5 people. Milton?
Yeah, thank you very much.
I can see all the fishing people standing. Pardon?
Madam Speaker, some of us have issues and we wanted to wait for clause by clause, and we also
Yes.
have our comments.
Now you're talking, Ethel.
Yeah, thank you very much, Regional Speaker.
So now we are reducing to only 3 people, and we go clause by clause.
Regional Speaker, thank you very much. Regional Speaker, I wanted to start by applauding the committee for the good report. Regional Speaker, the issue of enforcement, whereby the committee is encouraging and urging URA and the Uganda National Bureau of Standards to scale up operations to mitigate importation of illegal fishing nets or materials. I want to say this is the way to go, because most of our people who do business have lost a lot of money. They get cleared by URA, these nets are imported, they are allowed in shops, then all of a sudden, traders suffer when their products are being confiscated, being burnt, yet they already paid taxes on this. So I have to urge and encourage our minister that this is the way to go. Let's do it once and for all. If we are talking of gauge number gundi, let it be that, instead of us beating about the bush. Right, Honourable Speaker, there is also an issue to do with the administration of fisheries. The issue of having committees at different levels, I think it is also going to involve so many implementers, so many stakeholders or players in the entire process, right from the village, the parish, the sub-county, the district. I think it will put sanity in the management of the entire process or chain. I want to thank you, Right Honourable, for the opportunity accorded to me.
Thank you. Avuru. Honourable members, did you hear a request from a member? What is important in this bill is for us to look at clause by clause. Now, if we are going to waste the time in debating the report is not going to help us. It is the clauses that are going to help us. So the fishermen and fisherwomen, just wait for the clauses. I can see Edie there. Don't worry. You'll contribute on the clauses. Yes. There is a procedural matter from Mama.
Right Honourable Speaker, I think following your guidance, it would be advisable for us to go straight to the committee level, because the report has been so clear, been following, very, very clear in detail. So all we need, Right Honourable Speaker, is for us, if it is acceptable, to go straight to the committee stage. Then we can deal clause by clause as we are desiring. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, for the good suggestion. I now put a question that the House adopts a report from the Committee of Agriculture. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. Aye. The ayes have it. Honorable members, I now put a question that the bill be read for the second time. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Bill's second reading, the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2021, Bills Committee stage. Clause 1.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, we are looking at the clauses. We are starting with the clause 1.
Thank you very much.
I kindly request that you listen to the chair on the amendments that have been brought on the clauses and the justifications. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Clause 1 is amended by substituting for paragraph A the following: to all waters where fish is found or can be farmed within the jurisdiction. The justification, it is for clarity. I beg to submit.
Minister. Honorable Minister.
It's okay, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I put a question that clause 1 be amended as proposed. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 1 as amended.
I put a question that clause 1 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
Chair.
Madam Chairperson, the committee proposes that clause 2 be amended as follows: by inserting a new paragraph immediately after paragraph D as follows: to promote competitiveness of the fisheries and aquaculture subsector and the diversification of fish and fish products. Then in paragraph F, by substituting for the words fishery products, the words fish products, and thereafter wherever the words appear in the bill. The justification is the insertion of a new paragraph is to enhance productivity and encourage innovation, and the substitution of the phrase fishery products with the words fish products is to achieve consistency since the bill uses the words fishery products and fish products interchangeably, yet the bill defines the phrase fish products. I beg to move.
Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 2 be, I put a question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 2 as amended.
I put a question that clause 2 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 3.
I put a question that clause 3 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. Ayes have it.
Clause 4.
Chair.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes to amend clause 4
clause 4, you can bring it at the end. Yes, the coffee man.
Yeah, Madam Chair, that was the reason, because we have so many definitions we're going to bring at the end. That's why
Okay.
I was trying to calculate.
Okay. I thought you were going to talk about coffee.
Clause 5.
Clause 5, I put a question that clause 5 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
Chair, clause 6.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes to amend clause 6 as follows. In subclause 1A, by inserting the words in consultation with the stakeholders immediately after the word subsector. Then in subclause 1C, by substituting for the words the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Policy 2018 with the words policies on fisheries and aquaculture. The justification for the first one is to require the involvement of stakeholders during the formulation of policy and legislation. And the amendment under subclause 1C is to avoid being restrictive. I beg to submit.
Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 6 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6 as amended.
I put a question that clause 6 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7.
Clause 7, Chair.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes to amend clause 7 by deleting paragraph B and by deleting paragraph C, and then by inserting a new paragraph immediately after paragraph C as follows. Monitor and inspect aquaculture establishments under this act. Then in paragraph D, by substituting for the words Uganda fishery waters, the words fishing waters. Then in paragraph E, by substituting for the words control and public waters, the words regulate and fishing waters in accordance with this act, respectively. In paragraph F, by deleting the words provide education too. Then in paragraph G, that a paragraph is deleted. In paragraph I, by substituting for the words and analyze, the words analyze and disseminate. Then The committee proposes to delete paragraphs K, O, and P. In paragraph T, insert the words fisheries and immediately before the word aquaculture. Then delete paragraph V. The justification in order. Paragraph B is a duplication of the powers of the minister under clause 6.1c. And paragraph C is a duplication of paragraph A. Then the insertion of a new paragraph after paragraph C is as a result of transferring clause 78, which is a function of the directorate for better chronological flow. Then paragraph D, substituting the word Uganda fisheries waters and the words fishing waters, is to ensure consistency. The amendment proposed under paragraph E is consequential amendment arising from transferring some licensing functions to local governments. The words provide education to in paragraph F are redundant. The requirement for creation of public awareness is insufficient enough. On the deletion of G, it is setting goals is an internal administrative strategy that does not require to be legislated upon. Paragraph A is sufficient. The amendment proposed under paragraph I is to require the directorate to disseminate the data collected. Paragraph K is a repetition of paragraph W. The deletion of paragraphs O and P is to avoid inconsistency with the ratification of Treaties Act, which vests the ratification of treaties in Cabinet and Parliament. According to the same Act, the instrument of ratification of a treaty is signed, sealed, and deposited by the minister responsible for foreign affairs. The amendment proposed to paragraph T is to make the provision all-inclusive to cater for both fisheries and aquaculture. And the deletion of paragraph B is to avoid conflict of interest that may arise as a result of the Directorate of Fisheries Resources engaging in investments within the subsector it regulates. I beg to submit, Chairperson.
Thank you, Minister. Yes,
Chair.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
Shadow Attorney General, because I'm seeing so many of you people standing up.
Well, I have carefully listened and also talked to our colleague who was our lead representative. The amendments have no fundamental defects.
I put a question that clause 7 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7 as amended.
I put a question that clause 7 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
Clause 8.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes to amend clause 8 by substituting for subclause 1 the following. The director responsible for fisheries resources in the ministry is designated as the chief fisheries officer for purposes of this act. Then by substituting for subclause 2 the following. The chief fisheries officer shall be a person with the qualifications and considerable experience in fisheries sciences. In subclause 3, by deleting the words including the issuance of licenses, permits, and any other authorizations under this act. The justification amendment on subclause 1 Right Honorable Chair, is to ensure specificity since the position of director already exists in the ministry. On subclause 2 is to ensure clarity as regards qualification of the Chief Fisheries Officer. The Chief Fisheries Officer is not an advisor to government, but to the Minister on matters relating to development and management of fisheries and aquaculture. The words proposed to be deleted under subclause 3 are redundant, since the issuance of licenses and permits is part of the mandate of the Directorate under clause 7E. The amendment to subclause 3 is also a consequential amendment arising from transferring some of the licensing mandate from the Chief Fisheries Officer to the District Fisheries Officer. I beg to submit.
Honorable, yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm raising that the chair of the committee has stated that there's a directorate, and always heads of the directorates are called directors. Now you're creating somebody to become a chief fisheries officer. If the directorate has a head, it means under those, there are those who report to him. In this case, if the so-called chief fisheries officer is going to report to the directorate, then it should run, maybe he's at the rank of an assistant director or what, because the moment you're creating chief, this one is becoming so dangerous for an institution, others will work as a chief and they will not want to report to institutions. So, Madam Chair, if there is nobody who is a director, either we create that person to be the director in charge of fisheries, so that even if the other one who comes to be technical can be those working under him. Because even what you are doing, you are saying there will be even officers under. That means you are creating a director of fisheries where we will have officers who are reporting to this chief. So now, Madam Chair, I wanted to propose that 8 become a director of fisheries, and under it will be other officers who are qualified in the area of fisheries. And the other point which the Madam Chair of the committee was raising, shall be designated. No, public service does not designate. Public service appoints, and appoints people according to qualification. The person who designates is that when you're in a certain institution, then they say, in addition to your work, we have designated you to be taking our minutes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chair? Somebody wants to help, Chair? Attorney General?
Madam Chair, I want to concede on the issue of designation on my brother's submission, but on the creation of the position of Chief of Fisheries, it is a creation of the bill, and I think it should be carried as such. It does not necessarily have to become directorate. This position is created by this bill as Chief of Fisheries. It should be carried as such. I beg to submit.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Chairperson, when you look at the wording in the bill, it still remains the directorate, save for the nomenclature used in the bill for this specific officer. So as far as our side is concerned, honestly, we have no problem with it.
With amendment, yes. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair. I concede with amendments.
The committee amendment. With the committee amendment.
Madam Chair, I wish to restate. The bill's position is creating the position of Chief of Fisheries. And with all the justification presented, I would rather we maintain that. I beg to submit.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you are right to talk about fish and coffee. If you look at J, under 3, the remedies proposed to deal with defects. J says a sustainable finance directorate for the management of the fisheries subsector.
Where is J?
J is on page, I think, of the bill.
Which clause is that?
Madam Chair, the first one is peg 1, which is not numbered, is saying...
Chair, Bugisu Cooperative Union, we are looking at clauses.
No, Madam Chair, what I'm trying to come from is from the memorandum. The memorandum. There's memorandum 1, memorandum 2, memorandum 3, but J is saying a sustainable finance directorate for the management of the fisheries subsector. Madam Chair, have you seen it? Now, if you're talking of the directorate for the management of the fisheries subsector, you're not talking about just a section. So are you telling us there will be a director, right? The director of fisheries, then there will be chief fisheries officer.
That is just a title of the directorate.
Exactly, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So if it's the title of the directorate...
Who will be a technical head as per the what? Yes. As per clause 8.
Exactly.
Yes.
So Madam Chair, the moment you say the technical head, then effectively is the head of the directorate. So
that is...
I think, Honorable Nandara Mafavi, it's really a question of nomenclature. It's like the technical head in the Minister of Justice. He's called Solicitor General. He remains the director in that one. This one is saying that it is still a directorate, but the name of that particular head, Fisheries, Chief Fisheries Officer, it really has no harm.
Chair Bugisu Cooperative Union, we are talking the same language. I put a question that clause 8 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8 as amended.
I put a question that clause 8 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 9.
I don't hear the ayes. They are just sleeping. The ayes have it. Clause 9.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes that clause 9 be amended by substituting for subclause 1 the following. There is established a Fisheries and Aquaculture Advisory Committee within the ministry. In subclause 2, paragraph A, by deleting the words who shall be the chairperson. Paragraph F, by substituting for the words National Fisheries Research Institution, the word Fisheries Research Institute. Then by substituting for paragraph H, the following: 1 representative of fish processors, and then by inserting immediately after paragraph H, the following new paragraphs: 1 representative of aquaculture subsector, 2 representatives of the capture fisheries subsector, 1 representative of the ministry responsible for transport, 1 representative of the academia with considerable experience in fisheries sciences or aquaculture research. Then by inserting a new subclause immediately after subclause 2 as follows: the minister shall appoint a chairperson of the committee from among members of the committee. Then by substituting for subclause 4 the following: a member of the committee shall serve for a period of 3 years and shall be eligible for reappointment for 1 more term only. Justification: the committee by its composition and functions is not a technical committee, but an advisory committee within the ministry. The removal of Chief Fisheries Officer from being the chairperson of the committee is to avoid conflict of interest, given that the Chief Fisheries Officer heads the directorate, which is responsible for overseeing the implementation of the decisions of the committee. Amendment made to paragraph F is to ensure consistent usage of the phrase Fisheries Research Institute as defined under the interpretation clause. The insertion of new representatives on the committee is to enhance the role of private sector needs in fisheries and aquaculture subsector, since each fisheries subsector possesses peculiar challenges. To enhance the role of private sector needs in fisheries and aquaculture planning and management, and the inclusion of the representative of the ministry responsible for transport is to ease collaboration in matters relating to fishing vessels and vessels or vehicles used for transportation of fish. The representation of the academia on the Fisheries and Aquaculture Advisory Committee is to facilitate the promotion of capacity building in fisheries and aquaculture research and innovation, which is critical in the conservation and management of the fisheries resources. The new subclause after subclause 2 is to provide for the appointment of a chairperson, having removed the Chief Fisheries Officer as a chairperson of the committee. The amendment proposed under subclause 4 is for clarity, given that the tenure applies to members of the committee and not the committee, and 2 years is such a short period for the members of the committee to learn and serve effectively. I beg to submit.
Yes.
I have no problem with amendments, but if you are saying the Chief Financial Fisheries Officer will be a member, that means for that one will be there for the, as long as he's appointed as a what? Chief Fisheries Officer. Now the limitation will be on others except for the Chief Fishery Officer. So the amendment I wanted to raise there that the committee should add with the exception of the Chief Fisheries Officer.
Yes, Avuru.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I too do not have a problem with amendment, but I thought that for continuity of business, this committee we could include a position of a vice chairperson to allow business to run in the absence of the chairperson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'm agreeable to the proposal of my senior colleague because the bill creates the position of the Chief Fisheries Officer. If he's a member of this committee, he's a permanent member of the ministry. So the others will serve for 3 years, but he remains as a member of the committee. So we need to create that exception as he says.
So put the amendment as it is.
Yeah, I'm agreeable, so I suggest that we say except the Chief Fisheries Officer. The others will serve for 3 years. And on the submission of Jane Pachuto on the minister appointing the chairperson, appointing chairperson, I think it is also proper the same minister to appoint the vice chairperson, or the committee be allowed to appoint the vice chairperson in the absence of.
Minister, is that okay?
That's okay, Chair.
Honorable Chair. Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable Chair, the proposed committee is not gender sensitive. I do not know whether women...
How sure are you that the fisheries officer will not be a woman
no statement,
or a man?
There is no statement dictating to...
It is there. Subclass 3. You know, doctor is a...
Much obliged, Honorable Chair.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Under this section, clause 2, I propose that we add one representative of district fisheries officers. The reason I am saying this is that when you look at the composition of this committee, and also given the current circumstances, there is a coordination gap between the district, the Directorate of Fisheries Resources and the district local governments.
Clause 2, subclause D, has a representative from the ministry responsible for local governments, and I believe that suffices.
Yes, Patrick?
Yes, I concede.
Madam Chair, may I have an issue with the chief fisheries officer being the chairperson? In most of the...
No, they have said the minister will appoint. That is not, he will not be a chairman.
Madam Chairperson, in other advisory committees of this nature, technical officers are the secretaries of those committees.
Who is the technical person there? The fisheries officer. That is provided for.
So my proposal, Madam Chairperson, that whoever is the technical person will be the secretary. The committee can appoint a chairperson, and this technical person remains there to take and track the record like it is in other agencies, Madam Chairperson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the Chief Fisheries Officer, being a permanent member of this committee and being a technical person, indeed can be the secretary. But the minister should retain the power to appoint the chairperson. That means automatically that the chief Fisheries Officer will not be a chairperson at any given time.
Madam Chairperson, I have a problem. We are giving a lot of power to the minister. A lot of power to the minister.
But where did you want the power to go? In the Mines and Minerals Bill, we gave powers to the minister. In all the bills, for consistency, we gave the minister the powers. Now, where do we take those powers? Are we the ones to appoint the chairperson? That will be too much for us as a house.
Madam Chairperson, this being an advisory committee, they can find the chairperson within themselves.
No. Yes, Imad.
Chair, close to which A specifically says the chief fisheries officer who shall be the chairperson. Now, does that mean the minister can appoint a person other than...
Amended. That one has been amended.
Has already been amended?
Yes. Okay. You know, you've just come in. Honorable members, I put a question that clause 9 be amended as proposed by the committee and by Honorable Mafavi, Nathan, and Honorable Pachuto. Those in favor say under the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 9 as amended.
I put a question that clause 9 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say under the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 10.
Clause 10, I put a question that clause 10 stands part of the bill. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
11. You see now the person from Minakulu is talking. She doesn't have any lake near her. She's a cassava grower.
Madam Chair.
Honorable
Madam Chair.
No, it's okay.
Madam Chair,
okay.
there was something.
Next, Honorable Chair.
Right, Honorable Chair. The committee proposes that clause 11 be amended as follows. In subclause 1, by inserting the words developed and immediately before the word managed and. Then in subclause 2, by deleting the words through the fisheries officer. Justification to ensure sustainable exploitation of fisheries resources, and to allow the committee report to the minister directly, since according to clause 9.5, the committee operates under the guidance of the minister. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 11 be amended as proposed. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11 as amended.
I put a question that clause 11 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 12.
I put a question that clause 12.
Madam Chair, the minister is appointing his committee, and therefore the minister must also regulate the committee in the meetings. All laws we make, the minister makes a regulation at the schedule on how meetings are conducted. So in this case, if you allow the committee to be like this, and I mark you have made the chief fisheries officer and more or less the secretary calling meetings, he might refuse to call what? Meetings. So, Madam Chair, here was saying the minister, by regulation, shall put in place how meetings are held, called and conducted. It can be like a schedule. In URA, it's a schedule. In NEMA, it's a schedule. Maybe you can create schedule 2, how meetings are held.
I agree with the amendment, because there will be an abuse if you don't put some controls. They can't regulate themselves. Yes?
Yeah, actually, Madam Chair, we shall, at the end of this, apply to recommit clause 10, because we've passed it in error. It should have been deleted as a consequential amendment, because we had already created the secretary of the committee being the chief finance officer. We shall do that at the end in the committee. But I also support what Honorable Nandara Mafabi is saying. If we allow the committee to regulate its own procedure, if the secretary is a stubborn one and has issues with the chairperson, there will be no meetings. But if the minister regulates, he or she may prescribe the number of times this committee may meet, the remuneration, and the like. So let it be the responsibility of the minister to prescribe in regulations the rules of procedure for this committee.
But Council, a secretary does not need to be a member of the committee, because you can have a scenario where the technical person is not there and the minister will choose a person to take minutes. Huh?
Madam Chairperson, because this particular section 11 comes immediately after section 9, this particular committee we have created, and we've already prescribed and provided that the chief fisheries officer will be the secretary. So is the secretary referred to in this particular section 11.
Honorable colleague, Madam Chair has,
yeah, I agree.
Madam Chair has also brought a different scenario I want us to consider. That in the event of the absence of the secretary, maybe we should also empower the minister to appoint from amongst the committee members a sitting secretary for that meeting.
Yes.
In the event of the absence of the chief fisheries officer.
That doesn't need to be in the act. It can be in the regulations.
Yes. Mm. So we'll recommit that. Mm. Yes, 11. 11. No, it was on you to accept.
I concede to the amendments, Honorable
Nandala.
Chair.
No, Honorable Nandala.
I concede the proposal of Honorable Nandala.
Yes.
Honourable Minister, according to Honourable Nandala, he's making an amendment to clause 12 that the minister, that the minister should make regulations for the committee. But then the Honourable Nwagawa came in with
on the committee of 10.
On a committee of 10.
On the committee.
Okay, okay, yes. Thank you. That's great.
So, Honorable Mafabi, can you repeat? We are recommitting clause 10. Later. Have you seen clause 10 where they say the minister shall designate the secretary? And remember, we had already said that the secretary shall be the chief fisheries officer. So we are making a recommittal on that to delete 10.
Yeah, Anthony General, my younger brother, that one we shall do at the end. Now this one here was saying the minister shall put a regulation on how meetings, because this meetings of the committee are to be held. The justification to determine the numbers of meetings per year, to determine the quorum, to determine the remunerations, among others, as per other laws.
Madam Chair, I wanted to seek wisdom of the Attorney General and the Shadow Attorney General. Given that this bill will have regulations by the minister, do we need to emphasize the regulations of the committee, or the minister can actually put as he draws up the regulations of the bill, include the regulations of the meetings, so that we don't have to be repetitive?
Madam Chair, what we want to just maybe give you an example. Under Schedule 2 of URI Act, it's about meetings. It's a Schedule 2. Under NEMA Schedule 3, it's about what? Meetings. So what we could say here that maybe if you don't want it to be regulation, it shall be a schedule of our meetings are to be held.
Madam Chair, my understanding is that we have empowered the minister to make regulations, and regulations pertaining to the sitting or the business of the committee will be part of the regulations that the minister will make. I beg to submit.
Maybe just to add for the benefit of my young brother from Norway West, the clause 12 is specifically about meetings of the committee. And the proposal by Honorable Nandala Mafabi is that instead of allowing it as is, we amend to reflect that the procedure for meetings and whatever happens will be prescribed in the regulations. So that meetings, yes, become statutory, but how they are going to be conducted through the regulations.
So would it be possible, Madam Chair, for the Attorney General to formulate the amendment so that we know clearly? Because yes, I can see Honorable Nandal having difficulties. You can give
He has
him.
done it. Honorable Nandal has done it.
Madam Chair, that young brother of mine, David Bahati, the only exception here, Minister. But let me reserve. Madam Chair, I want to quote here, under Schedule 2 of the AURA, meetings of the board, which is now a committee, 1, meetings of the committee. That's number 1. It's the schedule number 2. It says, now which we want to procure. The committee shall meet at least once quarterly.
Chair, BCU, give us amendment.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, what I want to put across, it will be a schedule, let us say Schedule 2, which will be meetings of the committee, which will consist of 1, meetings of the committee.
Give me an amendment on 12, clause 12.
So, Madam Chair, I have brought an amendment that meetings of the committee shall be by regulation by the minister in charge of fisheries. By the minister. You are,
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes, Shadow.
I propose we go by this amendment. The minister by regulation shall have a schedule for committee meeting. And it ends there because at the moment you talk...
A schedule is just a timetable for the meetings. Can I have a better amendment?
But Honorable Chair, that's the only needful because other regulations who have already empowered the minister.
Madam Chair, the principle is that we have agreed to the amendment. Ideally, we should leave it to the drafts people to formulate. I resubmit. The principle is that we have agreed to the amendment.
Yes.
So we should ideally leave it to the drafts people to formulate in the language.
Okay. That is 12. I put a question that clause 12 be amended as proposed by Honorable Nandala Nathan, and those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 12 as amended.
I put a question that clause 12 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. You're sleeping, eh? The ayes have it. Yes.
Madam Chair.
We have a new clause.
Yes. Madam Chair, there is a proposal by the committee to insert a new clause immediately after clause 12 as follows. Removal of member of committee. A member of the committee may be removed from office on the following grounds. A, misconduct or misbehavior. B, dishonesty. C, if the member is declared bankrupt. D, if the member is withdrawn by organization or institution that he or she represents on the committee. Or E, if he or she is convicted of an offense under this act. The justification is to make provision for the removal of a member of the committee. I beg to submit.
Yeah, the offense, we must make it criminal. You can be, a traffic offense has never been a criminal offense. If you say any offense, if a member is convicted of a criminal offense.
Under the act.
Madam Chair, I would be okay with this new clause except for the first two, A and B. Misconduct, misbehavior, and dishonesty. 1, by virtue of this clause, who removes this member? 2, who determines misconduct, misbehavior, or dishonesty? Because if we leave it to the minister and we leave this in, it can also be ground for victimization. The day I'm tired of you, I declare you dishonest. So I would go with C, D, and E and remove A and B. I beg to submit.
So you're suggesting we should have a tribunal for this case? What is your suggestion?
My suggestion is the grounds of misconduct, misbehavior, or dishonesty should be removed because they cannot be determined unless that person is tried in a competent court and, charged and convicted of an offense, if it exists, that person is dishonest or with misbehavior or misconduct. Other than that, these two would be vague and would lead to abuse.
Yes.
Information.
Yes. Honorable members,
Yeah, right, Honorable Chair, I totally agree with my senior colleague that we do away with grounds of misconduct, dishonesty, because they are so subjective that to determine whether the person has misconducted himself or whatever would require a tribunal. And that would be taking the principles of this particular bill too far. But the other grounds, for example, if you have been convicted of an offense under this act, that offense could include ingredients of misconduct, ingredients of misbehavior, and the like. So I support the position of the Land Attorney General that we delete those and retain the three.
And the issue of the Criminal Act? Criminal Act?
Yeah, the Criminal Act is in respect of this particular act.
Yes.
Because the particular amendment by...
Honorable Nandala was amending.
It's convicted of an offense under this act. Definitely every offense is criminal.
So can you rephrase?
We go by the amendment of the committee, save for A, B, and... Save for A and B, but the rest, a member of the committee may be removed from office on the following grounds. We begin with, if the member is declared bankrupt, B, is withdrawn by the organizational institution that he or she represents on the committee, C, if he or she is convicted of an offense under this act.
I put a question that a new clause be inserted immediately after clause 12 as proposed by the committee and amended by Honorable Niwaga. Those in favor say and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. 13.
Clause 13.
Right, Honorable Chair. The committee proposes that clause 13 be amended in subclause 1 by deleting the words to protect fish and their environment, fish products, and aquatic flora and fauna against fisheries malpractices, and generally to enforce the provisions of this act and any other applicable law. Then by substituting for subclause 2 the following: the surveillance unit shall comprise persons with the qualifications in fisheries sciences appointed by the Public Service Commission and trained by the Uganda Police Force. In subclause 3, by substituting the word defense, the words internal affairs. Then by inserting a new subclause immediately after subclause 3 as follows: where the terms and conditions of service of an officer of the surveillance unit authorize him or her to possess firearms in the course of his or her duties, the officer shall, in addition to any other terms and conditions that may be imposed under this section, wear a uniform and be governed by regulations made under this section regarding A, powers of search and arrest, B, training, C, discipline, and D, use of firearms. Justification: the words proposed to be deleted under subclause 1 are a duplication of the functions of the surveillance unit under clause 14. The Uganda Police is best placed to conduct the training of the surveillance unit, since it is responsible for preserving law and order and the protection of life and property. The replacement of the Minister for Defense with the Minister for Internal Affairs is a consequential amendment, since the Uganda Police Force is under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The new subclause inserted after subclause 3 has been carried from clause 103 to ensure better chronological flow. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, with all due respect to the committee, this is the part I disagreed with the committee the day we had a retreat, and we need a lot of discussion on this. Honorable Chair, I don't know if you can give me a minute or two to add why. As a minister, current minister in charge of fisheries, I have had a lot of hard time on the issues of enforcement in the lake. Yes, as much as we have issues with the soldiers in the lake, if we compare with the marine police, and in most cases, I've had challenges in different districts where the soldiers arrest the defaulters in the lake, and when they take to police, I have personally witnessed and handled the issue where the police get money from the victims, and the next morning they are back to the lake, and they give information before.
Order.
Let the minister finish. We are at stage level, at committee level.
Thank you, Chair.
We shall also hear from you.
Yes, I do understand the committee wants the police to be in charge enforcement. We shall agree in this house, and after some short time, I also believe the discipline that the soldiers have compared to the discipline that the police have got,
Madam Chair,
have already been manifested. So for me, for us, according to this clause, we are talking about a new team, not even police, a new team.
Honorable Minister, members, Honorable Minister, you want to tell us that the police does not have discipline? Because from your statement, does that mean that they don't have discipline?
Yes, Honorable Chair, I have had a lot of challenges with the police conniving with the victims that have been arrested many times.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair.
Then, Honorable Minister, which institution is mandated to keep law and order? When you all stand, I will put a question. Yes? Yes, I'm still asking the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, my argument here is getting a new independent surveillance team, as the clause says, is what I'm saying would not be advisable, because it will need us to start training afresh this new team.
Now,
so if we are talking about the police, then let's give the police to head the enforcement. But if we are talking of the new team, it will take us time to train the new team, and they will go back to the same system like beach management unit. That's my problem. If we are talking of the police, then let's give the police to head it.
Honorable member, I like your lack of respect. When somebody is speaking, sit after the person has finished, you get up. Now we have all become fishermen and fisherwomen. Yes?
So that was my point, Honorable Chair. If we are saying the soldiers are not good enough, let's give the police. But if we say we get a new surveillance team headed by...
Honorable Minister, I don't want us to say that the soldiers are not good enough. We just want every institution to have its role, what they are mandated to do by law. That's what the committee is saying. Can I hear from Shadow Attorney General?
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. I am actually surprised that the Minister is opposing a very good amendment from the committee. Because when you look at these other bodies, like we now have the Environmental Police Protection Unit, the Mineral Police Protection Unit, everything is used under. Now, this particular amendment for fisheries, why are you against the amendment of the committee that is involving the police in training a specific unit? So I believe, Honourable Minister, I wish you could withdraw your objection and we proceed, because the committee did a good work and my team on this side is happy with the amendment of the committee.
Yes, Whip. Then the Attorney General.
Just building on what the Shadow Attorney General said vis-à-vis the amendment, the Minister is saying she has no problem allowing the police to do the monitoring and control and surveillance of the fisheries. That's what she says. But when you read what the committee is proposing, is actually different from what the Minister is saying, which I thought the Minister was a straightforward thing. Because the committee is proposing that the surveillance unit shall be comprised of persons with qualifications in fisheries sciences, appointed by the Public Service Commission, and trained by Uganda police force. Whereas the Minister is saying, why can't we have we have a unit that police specializing and handling the environment? We have a unit of police talking about tourism. We have a unit of police handling oil and gas. All those units are already there in the police. And I thought the Minister was actually making a very good compromise between the committee and what the members want. So I think the amendment of the Minister would be very good to get people to train them when actually we can have a specialized unit under the police to do this work would be better. I beg some.
Honorable members, the committee is saying Uganda Police is best placed to conduct the training and surveillance unit, since it's responsible for preserving law and order and the protection of life and property. The replacement of the Minister of Defense, remember you've been having the army, now they are saying replace it with the Minister of Internal Affairs. Now, what Honorable Whip is saying, I don't know where he's getting from. because the committee is recommending police vis-a-vis the army.
Madam Chair, if you can read the amendment of the committee, the one that you want to put a question to, amendment B2, is suggesting a creation of recruitment and then training by the police, appointment by the Public Service Commission, trained by the police. Whereas actually, we already have a precedence. We already have police units doing environment, doing oil and gas, specialized units for these natural resources. Okay.
Now, the one you're talking about is in clause 14. 14. When you look at the functions of fisheries monitoring, control, and surveillance unit, that is what is in it.
To give the minister, right honorable chair, is that actually it is the minister's bill itself which brought the idea of these officers being appointed by Public Service Commission. So what the committee is only doing is to say, yes, let them be appointed by Public Service Commission, but let the training be by the Uganda Police Force instead of the UPDF. And also saying, for consultation purposes, let it be with the Minister of Internal Affairs instead of the Minister of Defense. A very simple and innocent amendment. I beg you, Honourable Ministers, concede to this amendment and then we move forward.
Yes.
Clarification.
I think the Attorney General has reminded us, Honourable Minister, on the original bill. When you look at the original bill, vis-a-vis the amendment, then what is coming in is just a replacement of the Uganda police
affairs and
instead
defense.
of the defense, which I think is in my opinion, would be fine.
Clarification.
Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
Clarification.
Honorable Minister, can you accept? We have 180 clauses to go.
Clarification. Chair.
Honorable Chair, I concede.
Chair, clarification.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 13 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say under the control and nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 13 as amended.
I put a question that clause 13 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say under the control and nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 14.
Clause 14. I put a question that clause 14 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 15.
15.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes to substitute for clause 15 the following. Power of arrest. 1. An officer of the surveillance unit may, without a warrant, arrest a person who is suspected of having committed an offense under this act. Then, in the exercise of his or her powers under subsection 1, the officer of the surveillance unit may request for the person arrested his or her name and address. The justification is for clarity, since the power of arrest is all-inclusive. I best to submit.
Minister?
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 15 be amended as proposed. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 15 as amended.
I put a question that clause 15 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 16.
Clause 16.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is to substitute for clause 16 the following: powers of inspection and search. The officers of the surveillance unit shall have powers of inspection and search, which shall include the power to A. Require any person to produce a license or permit. B. Inspect fishing gear, fish products, and similar items. C. Require any person to provide name and address and produce identification. D. Stop any vehicle, aircraft, vessel, or other means of conveyance and enter and inspect, and require production of manifests and similar documents and answers to questions relating to cargo. E. Inspect and search or authorize any person subordinate to him or her to inspect and search any baggage, package, vehicle, vessel, tent, premises, or property belonging to or occupied by that person or to anyone in his or her employment. F. Require persons to produce records for inspection and copying. G. Seize fishing gears and other things suspected of being used in the commission of an offense under this Act. H. Seize fish and fish products suspected of having been reared, caught, processed, exported, or imported illegally, or possessed for human consumption. And I. Take possession of, or with a court order, demolish any structure, barrier, or trap that has been erected or constructed illegally for purposes of fisheries or aquaculture activity. Then the next is, an officer of the surveillance unit may seize anything under the powers conferred on him or her by this section, whether or not the owner can be found, and the officer may A. Break open any old container or compartment. B. Use any data processing system found on the premises. And C. Reproduce any record in the form of a printout and take it. Number 3. An officer of the surveillance unit shall provide a written receipt for any fish product, or goods seized by him or her under this Act. Number 4, an officer of the surveillance unit shall exercise the powers of arrest conferred under this Act in accordance with the Criminal Procedure Code Act. Justification: to merge clauses 16 and 17 to avoid repetition of similar provision. Then to ensure the use of correct nomenclature, since persons recruited to the work in the surveillance unit are public officers. Lastly, the demolition of any construction, barrier, or trap should only be done under a court order and not on mere suspicion of commission of an offense to avoid abuse. I beg to submit.
Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 16 be amended as proposed.
Chair.
Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 16 as amended.
I put a question that clause 16 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. To contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 17.
Is a deletion?
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes to delete clause 17. The justification, it has been merged with the clause 16 to avoid repetition. I beg to move.
I put a question that clause 17 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say aye. To contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 18.
Deletion 18. There is no amendment. I put a question that clause 18 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. To the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 19.
19.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is to substitute for clause 19 the following. 1. An officer of the surveillance unit shall not exercise the powers of entry and search in respect of a dwelling house without a warrant obtained from a magistrate. 2. The search under subsection 1 shall be carried out in the presence of the area local council officials. 3. An officer of the surveillance unit may, after notifying an area local authority, erect a temporary barrier on roads for the purpose of carrying out a search of a vehicle or person. The justification is to achieve clarity and also to guard against excesses of power during the implementation of entry and search. I beg to submit.
Minister.
Honorable Chair, I concede.
I put a question that clause 19 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye. To the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 19 as amended.
I put a question that clause 19 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. To the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 20.
20.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is that clause 20 be amended by substituting the word against the word under. Then B, by substituting for the words authorized officer wherever the words appear under this clause, the words officer of the surveillance unit. Justification for clarity and to ensure consistency and specificity, since the clause falls under the subpart that deals with the fisheries monitoring, control, and surveillance unit. I beg to move.
Honorable Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 20 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye. To the contrary, nay. Ayes have it.
Clause 20 as amended.
I put a question that clause 20 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. To the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 21.
21, deletion.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes that clause 21 be deleted. Justification, the provision is susceptible to abuse. I beg to submit.
Minister.
Honorable Chair, I concede.
I put a question that clause 21 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say aye. To the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 22.
22.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee proposes to substitute for clause 22 the following. Identification of officers of surveillance unit. An officer of the surveillance unit shall, before exercising any powers under this part, produce official identification showing him or her to be an officer of the surveillance unit. The justification is to ensure that identification of officers of the surveillance unit to a suspect is done before exercising any powers under this part without waiting for the suspect to demand for it. Then paragraph B of clause 22, has been included under Clause 16 for better chronological flow. I beg to move.
Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that Clause 22 be amended as proposed. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 22 as amended.
I put a question that Clause 22 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 23.
23.
Right, Honorable Chair, the proposal is that Clause 23 be amended by inserting the words "and aquaculture" immediately after the word "fisheries" and wherever the word appears under paragraphs A and B. Then in paragraph C, by inserting the words "and aquaculture" immediately after the word "fisheries" appearing in line 3, and by inserting the words "and aquaculture development" immediately after the word "resources." Justification: it is to ensure the provision addresses both fisheries and aquaculture. I beg to submit.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Chair, I have no objection to what the chair of the committee has raised, but I want some assistance. Now, we're making a law for fisheries, but if you read the beginning of it, of 23, it says, for the purposes of ensuring the implementation of national policies with respect to fisheries subsector and adherence to performance standards by local governments and in accordance with Local Government Act. So are you getting it? They are trying to say there will be another law under the Local Government Act as far as fisheries is concerned. My proposal, Madam Chair, is that the law should be in adherence to the performance standard by this act. The justification to avoid somebody acting and said, I acted under the Local Government what? Act. We should have only one act to manage the fisheries.
Honorable Nandala, we are looking at part 3, that's the role of local government. In implementation of the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill, and you remember that there are some local government staff that are attached to this monitoring unit. Yes, the district fisheries officers must act in accordance to the law. Yes. And remember, the local government has bylaws, so they must be consistent with the law that we are making.
Madam Chair, that's why I'm raising. The moment we have the Local Government Act is a law. If you look at this one under 23, they are talking standards by local.
Order.
Yes,
Order,
up there.
Honorable. Order, Chair.
Yes.
I think Honorable Nandala has gone to 24 and we are discussing 23.
Madam Chair, is it in order?
Honorable members, we are on 23. We are looking at the mandate of the Directorate in relation to local governments. In relation to local governments. And we are looking at part 3, the role of local governments in regard to Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill.
Yeah, what I'm reading 23. I am reading 23, the beginning. For the purposes of ensuring the implementation of national policies with respect to the fisheries subsector and adherence to the performance standard by local government and in accordance with the Local Governments Act, my worry, as we're making this law, they are bringing in another Local Government Act. We don't know what the law of local government talks about fisheries. Now, what we're trying to do is that the moment we're giving this to local government, they must follow the law we are making, not the Local Government Act.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying, Madam Chair, if we make a mistake to pass with this, a man or a woman will hide under Local Government Act. So that's why I'm saying we should delete the performance standards in accordance with this act, the directorate shall be responsible, but not in accordance with the local government what? Act. So, Madam,
so we should live in accordance with this act.
Exactly, and that's why I want to tell the minister that I am one of the best readers in this house.
Honorable members, what Honorable Nandala is saying, we delete the local government act and leave it in accordance to this act, which I agree.
Madam Chair, reference to the Local Government Act for purposes of this particular act, in my view, is to complement and cross-reference, because whereas we recognize that there is decentralization and that the offices created under the Local Government Act may have an impact on the central government. To me, this clause as is would not enable a person to act under it and feign ignorance of the subsequent clauses which we are going to look at in respect of functions and offices under the local government.
Actually, look at the Local Government Act. I mean, in reference to cross-references. The Local Government Act, CAP 243, is referred to.
The reason I have not refused the Local Government Act, even they are going to appoint people under the Local Government what? Act. That could be in reference. But if you look at here, we're looking at what? For purposes of ensuring implementation of national process in respect to the fisheries subsector. We're not doing anything. Subsector has a law now, the fisheries subsector. Thank you.
Honorable, if you read ABC, they are very clear what the directorate is supposed to do in connection with the local governments. To me, let's not read too much English in this particular clause. It is innocent and good as is. Let's allow it to pass, Honorable Mafat.
AG, you okay with amendment? AG?
Let us maintain it.
We maintain it?
Yes, we maintain the clause as this.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 23 be amended as proposed. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 23 as amended.
I put a question that clause 23 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 24.
24.
Right, Honorable Chair, the proposal is that clause 24 be amended in paragraph H by substituting for the words which shall be in consonance with the relevant fisheries and aquaculture sector strategic plan, the words in accordance with this act. Justification: it is a consequential amendment arising from the proposed deletion of clause 30. I beg to submit.
Minister.
Honorable Chair, I concede.
There's something very important, Madam Chair. Thank you. Madam Chair, close on 23 we are done. 24 is where the issue of bylaws and ordinances falls. If you look at E, therefore, Madam Chair, what Honorable Nandala was talking about, if you look at 24E, where it gives power to the sub-county makes bylaws and the district makes ordinances.
There's an order here.
What order?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
So what is the issue that you have? What is the issue that you have?
Madam Chair, I'm raising very important issues. On 24...
What is your important issue?
24E. That says, makes bylaws and ordinances for sustainable fisheries and agricultural management. Madam Chair, right now,
do you want to make amendment on this?
yes, Madam Chair, that's where I'm moving towards.
So what is the amendment?
As Honorable Nandala was trying to explain,
now you're taking us back to 2030.
No, Madam Chair, if I can finish 1 minute. You know, the sub-counties are mandated to make bylaws, and the districts mandated to make ordinances. Therefore, when... But what's wrong with
Which is okay. They are supposed, the sub-counties are supposed to make the ordinances and then the bylaws. Is there any problem with that?
Yeah, it is okay, Madam Chair, but the sub-county and the district should be guided to make the law and the ordinances according to this act that what you are passing. This is what I'm driving at, Madam Chair.
That is where you have the role of local government.
Madam Chair, I wish to guide my colleague.
Yes.
All bylaws made by districts have to go
to the first,
they come to the first Parliamentary Council office or FPC, the draftsperson in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. So they are ably guided before they are made.
And when you read this part, it make bylaws and ordinances for sustainable fisheries and aquaculture management. So they have that in mind in whatever they are doing. I put a question that clause 24 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 24 as amended.
I put a question that clause 24 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 25.
I put a question that clause 25 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 26.
26.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is that clause 26 be amended as follows. In subclause 1, by inserting a new paragraph immediately after paragraph B as follows. Issue licenses and permits in accordance with this act. Then B, by deleting subclause 3. Justification: the insertion of a new paragraph is a consequential amendment arising from the transfer of some licensing mandate from the Chief Fisheries Officer to the District Fisheries Officer to ease accessibility to the services. Then the deletion of subclause 3, the existing internal disciplinary procedures within the public service are sufficient to deal with any misconduct of public officers, including the District Fisheries Officer. I beg to move.
Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 26 stands. Clause 26 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 26 as amended.
I put a question that clause 26 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 27.
27.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is that clause 27 be amended in subclause 2 by inserting the words local governments and other relevant stakeholders immediately after the word agencies, and by deleting subclause 3. The justification for insertion of those words under subclause 2 is to ensure that the process of regulation and control of fisheries is highly consultative. The bill already has specific provisions regulating the activities that this subclause seeks to prohibit. That is the subclause being deleted. I beg to move.
Honorable Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 27 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 27 as amended.
I put a question that clause 27 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 28.
I put a question that clause 28 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 29.
I put a question that clause 29 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 30.
Deletion.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is to delete clause 30.
You wanna stop disturbing my members. You've just come.
Thereafter, delete the words fisheries and aquaculture sector strategic plans wherever the words appear in the bill. Justification: strategic plans are developed administratively and not through a legislation. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 30 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. 31.
Clause 31.
Deletion.
The proposal is to delete clause 31. Thereafter, delete the words fisheries and aquaculture management strategy wherever the words appear in the bill. This is an administrative and operational function. I beg to move.
Honorable Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 31 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 32.
32, a deletion.
The proposal is for deletion of clause 32. It is a consequential amendment to the deletion of clause 31. I beg to move.
Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 32 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 33.
Clause 33, Chair.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is that clause 33 be amended by inserting the word fisheries immediately after the word transboundary appearing in line 4. Justification: to achieve consistency by aligning the provision to the definition of transboundary fisheries resources under clause 4. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I concede.
I put a question that clause 33 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 33 as amended.
I put a question that clause 33 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 34.
Deletion.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is for deletion of clause 34. It is a consequential to the deletion of clauses 30 and 31. I beg to move.
Minister.
I concur with the chairperson, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I put a question that clause 34 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 35.
Chair.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is for clause 35 to be amended in subclause 2B by inserting the words in collaboration with the Fisheries Research Institute before the word conduct. This is to ensure that research-based information is obtained, maintained, and disseminated given the nature of the activities under paragraph B. I beg to move.
Honorable Minister.
Agree with my Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 35 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 35 as amended.
I put a question that clause 35 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 36.
36.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is to amend clause 36 in subclause 1 by substituting for the words water body the word district and by inserting the word resources immediately after the word fisheries appearing in line 3, and then by deleting subclause 2. Justification: the maximum allowed fishing effort should be regulated based on each district and not water body, given the unique dynamics of every district, to ensure equitable distribution of fisheries resources. Subclause 2 has been modified and placed under clause 41 to ensure that the regulation of fishing effort is done through fishing vessel license. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Agree, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I put a question that clause 36 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 36 as amended.
I put a question that clause 36 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 37.
Clause 37.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is for clause 37 to be amended by substituting for subclause 1 the following: the Chief Fisheries Officer shall, on the recommendation of local governments and in consultation with relevant stakeholders, establish by notice in the Gazette landing sites throughout Uganda. Then in B, by deleting subclause 3, and by substituting for subclause 4 the following: activities at the landing site and on the related land, buildings, and facilities shall include the smoking, salting, or storage of fish, landing of fish from fishing vessels, and the transportation, processing, and sale of fish or fish products. Then by substituting for subclause 7 the following: the Chief Fisheries Officer shall issue guidelines for A, the establishment and management of landing sites, and B, closure of fishing activities at landing sites. Justification: substituting subclause 1 is to ensure that the establishment of landing sites by the Chief Fisheries Officer is done on the recommendation of local governments in whose area of jurisdiction the landing site is to be established. Then the deletion of subclause 3 is because it is redundant, given that the existing laws already empower government to take over any land in public interest in accordance with the applicable law. Then the substitution of subclause 4 is for clarity and to address the existing controversies surrounding fishing activities permitted at landing sites. The substitution of subclause 7 is to broaden the provision to include issuance of guidelines for management of landing sites and to restrict the closure to fishing activities to enable other activities not related to fishing activities continue. I beg to submit.
Yes.
Madam Chair, there is some clarification I want from the Chair of the committee, because by proposing that landing sites should be owned by government in trust for the people of Uganda, we already have a law that requires the 200 buffer zone that are already for government. Supposing a landing site is not in the buffer zone, how shall we consider that?
I don't need to disturb the chairperson. If you listen to her critically, that particular provision is being proposed to be deleted.
It was deleted. Honorable Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 37 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 37 as amended.
I put a question that clause 37 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 38.
38, Chair.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is for clause 38 to be amended by deleting the words by the Chief Fisheries Officer. It is a consequential amendment arising
Azar, stop making noise.
It is a consequential amendment arising from decentralizing some licensing mandate to district fisheries officers.
You on clause what, Matt?
38. Chair, clause 38, I think we need to take a closer look at it because earlier on the chair put it in the report that there are a section of the population who have fished for generation to generation. They live on nothing else but fishing. And many of them are rural in character, particularly the ones I know in Dokolo. Now, if you say a person shall not engage in any fisheries activity or aquaculture activity without the relevant license or permit. Now, relevant license or permit becomes a problem to our rural population. How can they be helped? Because now for those villagers, to tell them to go and get license and from where, and then when you try to get a license, it will attract fees. You have to pay licensing fees. Then you are actually now cutting off the population you are trying to protect in this particular act. And that is where now the problem has been. Many of us have been crying because these are the population being brutalized. Now you are subjecting them to licensing. It is a serious matter. So I would like the technical people to help me, but definitely my local people cannot handle this. I would like you to help us. Thank you.
Chair.
Madam Chair, that is true. Actually, when you come to Kumi these days, you find that the market is empty, there is no fish. Because already these things of licenses are starting to bite.
Emat, first look at the definition of fisheries activity. Fisheries activity on page 11. 11 means fishing, transportation of fish, artisan processing of fish, industrial fish processing, trade in fish, fish trade and other fisheries products. So it's not limited to only the fishing that you want to do.
Agree, Chair. Agree, Chair. Unless if the committee can come up with exception. Yeah. Those who are doing commercial activities, I have no problem. You can subject them to licensing. But I'm talking the rural population who has been very well defined in this report. These are the population I'm talking about. Those who don't know anything about licenses,
now
information attached.
Now what we can do when we come to clause 4, interpretation clause, we can amend the fishing activities.
Information.
The definition.
Chair.
Yes.
I want an assurance, please.
The information I wanted to give Honorable Cecilia Ogwar is to hold her fire and look at clause 53 when we reach there on local fishing.
Emma Cecilia, I know for you want illegal fishing. Hold your fire. Yes?
Madam Chair, what Honorable Mama Cecilia is raising is important. The moment you will pass a permit...
Check 53 first.
The moment we shall pass a permit, Madam Chair, it is going to be very difficult for those people who live near the rivers, who live near the lakes, who live on these lakes for food, as what, because they will say the moment you go to this water, you must have a what? A permit. Yes. But the ones who can have a permit are those maybe who have who are doing commercial business, what, Madam, we should not make since the committee recognizes the locals, we should not really run away from this, Madam Chair. I think let us sort it here.
Honorable Nandala,
information.
Can we look at clause 53 on local fishing? The proposed amendment on local fishing.
Madam Chair, you are right. Then what I want to propose that we stand over this one, then we go and deal with it there. Then when we see it covers the interests of the locals, then we can pass.
Clause 53, local fishing. Substitute clause 53 with the following. Local fishing shall be regulated in accordance with the Local Governments Act, subject to any restriction imposed by the Chief Fisheries Officer as may be required to minimize the threats to fisheries resources. And the justification is a consequential one.
For purposes of clarity, my senior colleague, Honorable Nandala, let's not debate in anticipation. When we get to clause 53, we shall handle it. For now, I request we proceed.
Yes,
I believe we can get a solution. If under this particular clause 38, if we said a person shall not engage in any fisheries or aquaculture activity without the relevant license or permit issued under this act, we delete the words by the Chief Fisheries Officer, since there are those permits that will be issued by the local governments.
Yes.
So that we now sort out both those who require specific licenses and permits from the Chief Fisheries Officer and those under the local government.
So what is the amendment? Yes,
The amendment.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I wanted to make some clarification. The only law we have been having does not allow anybody to be licensed or given any receipt below 10 kilos. Because what Honorable Cecilia has raised is very key in the local communities, especially people who live within the lake. You are next to the lake, you are next to the swamp. When the rainy season comes, you know it comes with some of these. Then you are not allowed to move even next to your compound. So anybody who deals with or carries less than 10 kilos is not allowed to be licensed or given a receipt. From 10 kilos and above is when you can give a receipt from a landing site.
Is it in the law? Is it in the law?
It has been in the law, the old law, so we have to leave it the way it is. And I want to emphasize that, Honorable Chair, we must protect these artisan fishers who cannot be able to, that's where they survive, and they cannot be able to be given a license. We must support them.
So Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Honorable Minister, can you formulate the amendment?
But Madam Chair.
Formulate the amendment.
Madam Chair.
Formulate the amendment.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
What are you conceding on? Let the Attorney General concede.
Madam Chair, can we have order?
Madam Chair, this is very, very important for our local people down there who do fishing at a local level. So, Madam Chair.
You're repeating what she has said.
Yes,
she
but
has considered it is very important.
I was, Madam Chair, emphasizing that can't we stand over this so that we do a perfect thing, Madam Chair? That was my issue.
Madam Chair.
We are standing over it over what reason?
Madam Chair.
Let's resolve it. Yes.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, my proposal
before
is
comes
the ministers.
First hear the proposal. First hear the proposal.
Madam Chair, my proposal is that the minister's assertion should form part of clause 53, where we are looking at the local people. So we maintain 38 as it is, because there are two classes we are dealing with.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. Madam Chair,
Madam Chair, I propose under 38 with differentiate and let it be commercial farming. We say a person shall not engage in any commercial farming or aquaculture activity without relevant license or permit, so that we can leave room for someone who probably sleeps just near the lake, and that's entirely how it survives, minus getting into commercial activities. We only specify the permit and license for commercial activities. And we should recall, issues of licenses, they are for local governments, and local governments basically know how they gauge the need for that local license. But because we want to ensure that we have certain regulation in place, that's why we issue a license. But someone who wants some little food, we can now introduce commercial fish.
I think she has a point. Because when you look at the definition of commercial fishing means for monetary gain, including trade, business, or profit, where all parts of the catch is sold or bartered but does not include subsistence.
Yes, Honorable Chair. As I said before, I strongly support the local people who fish for food. But within not everyone who is next to the lake only goes for food. There are also those commercial. That's why the old law has been saying 10 kilos and above. But also there are local artisan fishers, these local women who get even 10 kilos and they go to the local market to sell. Now, the local government gives them receipts when they are within local markets. But for someone who is carrying smaller fish for his household to eat, the law does not allow to. But what happened was the enforcers of the law used to abuse that. If they get you carrying
Procedure, Madam Chair.
carrying more than 10 kilos, then they will arrest you.
Madam
Speaker.
Madam
Yes.
Chairperson, let the Minister help us. Instead of quoting the clause, she's keeping on saying the old law. We don't know whether there is a different law than the one we are trying to amend. Kindly help us, tell us the clause where the local people are protected. Once we are sure that they are protected, then we will not waste any more time. Because Honorable Cecilia came with that thinking that the licenses will affect the way of life of those who live in fishing subsistently. So kindly help us so that
Honorable Chair, I keep repeating that when we are making now this law, the biggest challenge the local people have been having was that you couldn't differentiate. For example, if you are a fish farmer at a local level in the village, you have your one fish pond, and you don't have a license. When they catch you with the fish going to sell, they will say, where is your license? And they are different. So that's why I'm saying we have to put it in clause 53 to emphasize that let's protect the local person, this small person who goes to just fish for food, so that we protect them.
Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair. Assuming we put this one, a person shall not engage in any commercial fishing, not fisheries, fishing, or aquaculture activities without the relevant license and permit issued under this Act.
Madam Chair.
It's covered under 53.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, we are not taking consideration to the fact that we do fishing for consumption, we do fishing for commercial, and there are those who do it for leisure. So where do we put those who do it for leisure?
53.
Yes, they
Madam
do it.
Chair.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Members, I would like to address your worry. Under clause 4 of the near, that is part L, local fishing has been catered for, and it means fishing without a license, fishing vessel, where fish is caught for consumption by the person engaging in the fishing, which at least local fishing has been catered for.
Madam Chair, as we listen to the honorable colleague, once we have decided that 38 is talking about a shall means a must, and it will take charge of the rest. So what will happen then?
Madam Chair, in the same way, since local fishing means fishing without a fishing vessel, under clause 53, all the local consumers have been catered for under the provision of the local government, and the local government does not only mean the district. It runs up to the sub-county, parish, up to village. So it will be upon those local leaders to come up with formulation of policies. Bylaws are also provided within, where the local fishing for consumption shall be catered for.
Okay, Honorable Nwagaba.
Honorable members, we are on part 5, entitled licenses and permits. Now, when you look at that part, beginning with clause 40, the relevant licenses and permits are explained. Fish vessel license 40, fish transport license 42, fish trade license 43, fish storage facility license 44, up to 53, which talks about local fishing. And that local fishing is again defined in the interpretation section. So when you water down this particular clause 38, you are literally watering down all these licenses that are being referred to here under. So I beg members, for those who would want to be very specific on local fishing, let's hold our breath and fires until we reach clause 53. But these other licenses mentioned and as I've explained are necessary for the enforcement of this act.
Honorable members, Minister.
We maintain it. Honorable
what?
Chair.
Committee amendment?
We maintain
the committee amendment?
Yes, as it is.
I put a question that clause 38 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 38 as amended.
I put a question that clause 38 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 39.
Chair.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is for clause 39 to be amended by substituting for subclause 2 the following. Subject to this act, the licensing officer may, on application being made in the prescribed manner and on payment of the prescribed fee, issue to an applicant a license or permit. Then by inserting immediately after subclause 2 the following new subclauses. A license or permit shall be issued in such form and subject to such conditions as may be prescribed by regulations. Where the licensing officer refuses to issue a license, he or she shall within 30 days from the date of the application provide a written explanation to the applicant giving reasons for the refusal. A license shall be deemed issued where the licensing officer does not A, issue a license within the prescribed time, and B, provide a written explanation to the applicant, giving reasons for refusal. A person who is aggrieved by the refusal of a licensing officer to issue a license may appeal to the minister within 14 days from the date of communication of the refusal. C, by substituting for subclause 3 the following: a licensing officer shall, in determining an application for a license or permit, have regard to the purpose of this Act. The justification for the replacement of subclause 2 is because it is a consequential amendment arising from the introduction of the phrase licensing officer to take care of provisions that apply to both Chief Fisheries Officer and District Fisheries Officer. Then to introduce timelines within which applications for a license are to be determined. Then to ensure clarity, transparency, and accountability in the application process. The substitution of subclause 3 is a consequential amendment arising from the division of the licensing roles between the Chief Fisheries Officer and the District Fisheries Officer, and the deletion of clauses 30 and 31. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister.
I concede, Honorable Chair.
I put a question that clause 39 be amended as proposed. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 39 as amended.
I put a question that clause 39 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor stand to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 40.
Clause 40.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is for clause 40 to be amended by substituting for subclause 1 the following: a vessel shall not be used for fishing unless there is in force, in respect of that vessel, a valid fishing vessel license issued by the Chief Fisheries Officer. In subclause 2, by substituting for the words 5,000 currency points and 3 years, the words 1,000 currency points and 1 year, respectively. The justification is to allow the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries oversee the entire regulation of fishing vessels. Then the current penalty in the bill is too harsh and not commensurate to the prescribed offense. I beg to submit.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, we are not comfortable with the proposed amendment by the committee. The proposal to amend clause 41A is rejected. The reasons we give are as follows. According to Section 7 of the Inland Water Transport Act 2021, Act number 18 of 2021, a person who intends to employ a vessel in navigation of inland waterways shall register the vessel with the Maritime Administration. 2. Maritime Administration means the department responsible for maritime safety and security in the ministry responsible for transport, according to Section 4 of the Inland Water Transport Act 2021, Act 18 of 2021. The mandate to register all vessels in Uganda is vested in the Ministry of Transport and Works and not in the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. So we reject the proposal of the committee that the Chief Fisheries Officer should be the one to license the vessels. I beg to submit.
Chair.
Agriculture. They leave it with what? They put it where?
Clarification.
Madam Chair. Information, Chair.
Yes. Seeking clarification.
Further clarification. Chair.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair, at the moment, most of our fishing communities are facing difficulties due to boat sizes, irrespective of the water body, whether it is a lake, whether it is a river. And we thought that this law would help salvage. It would come out clear that, for instance, in the Albert Nile, you cannot recommend a boat of 8 inches, whereas in the lake it would be appropriate because the depth and the width of these water bodies differ. I would have preferred that the minister, the committee would have brought it clearly so that it is in the law, because now, much as that was agreed when the minister, for instance, visited my place, the FPUs are busy destroying boats on the Albert Nile. So I don't know where this is going to come. I thought it would come out explicitly clear here that on the various water bodies, the vessel sizes will depend on the kind of the water body. Not a one shoe fits it all for them to be licensed. Madam Chair.
When you look at the law, under A, the vessel is registered under the Vessel Registration Act. And then B, there is in force a respect that the vessel is a valid fishing license, vessel license. Now the committee is deleting A. Yes, the committee has deleted A. They are substituting the whole of clause 1. So we lose A.
Chair. 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 Chair.
Yes,
Madam Chair, like I said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, it is the fisheries that have got the expertism in terms of the fishing vessels. What Minister of Works licenses is the transport vessels. They are very distinct.
Now, Honorable Bed,
Yes.
when you look at the old bill,
Yes.
A refers to the transport vessel.
Yes.
That is for works.
Yes.
B refers to the fisheries.
Yes.
That's why we need to maintain the old bill, not the committee amendment. At least in clause 1.
Honorable Chair, we maintain as it is in the bill.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I beg to submit that we maintain the clause as it is in the bill.
Honorable
Madam
members,
Chair.
Can I hear from the minister?
Honorable Chair, we maintain as it is. For the issue of sizes of the boat, they come under regulations.
Yes.
It depends on the size of the lake.
Okay. So we maintain clause 40 as it is in the old bill, both in 1 and 2. I put a question that clause 40 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say unto the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. 41.
Clause 41.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is for clause 41 to be amended by inserting a new subclause immediately after subclause 1 as follows. Notwithstanding subsection 1, the license issued under section 40 shall specify the species, fishing gear, type and size, the number of each target species based on the state of stocks, and the number of crew. In subclause 2, by substituting for the words 3,000 currency points and 3 years, the words 1,000 currency points and 1 year respectively. Justification is to prevent issuance of multiple licenses and is implementation by requiring the regulation of fishing effort through the fishing vessel licenses. The substitution of subclause 2 is to make penalty commensurate to the prescribed offense. I beg to move.
Honorable Attorney General. Attorney General.
I'm agreeable to the committee's proposal, except yes, I'm agreeable to the committee's proposal as it is.
What about the penalties?
The penalties, I'm of the view that we maintain 3 years.
And 3,000 currency points.
3 years and 3,000 currency points.
Clarification?
Yes.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm seeking for clarification on clause 41(1). Many fishermen lose their lives in the waters because of lack of life jackets. I'm wondering whether provision for life jackets is one of the conditions required for issuance of fishing licenses. Thank you.
Right Honorable Chair, I think those are details that can be provided under regulations, because we cannot capture everything under this law.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Some clarification from the chair and the minister. When you speak to numbers, you are talking about numbers and a specific kind of fish. Can I get clear exactly what you mean here? Because if I'm a fisherman and I go to the waters and my net catches in Kolongo and catches tilapia and the other one, what happens? I thought you should give me a license as a fisherman. I go there to the waters. Then number two.
Honorable member, you are not here when the report was being read. They named the different kind of species of fish. You have tilapia, you have suji wat, Nile perch, and then the size of the what? The fishing gears.
Which is okay, Madam Chair, I do agree with you. And the fishing gear should be the controlling component. If the size is gauge 40, that is the standard. Why should we be talking about the species?
Chair.
Honorable Chair, thank you. To my colleague, Honorable Silas Awogon, when you go to the lake, there are so many species in the lake. If you want to deal in white silverfish or mukene, you cannot get a net for fishing Nile perch because Nile perch needs a bigger size. But this one needs, even some people use nets, mosquito nets. So you have to be licensed according to what you want to deal in. But not to disguise. When you disguise and you are caught, you have broken the law.
This house needs to stand with me.
If I might add, the reason why they are being specific, at any one time there may be some protected species, and they want to allow you to access A and not access B. So all that has to be foreseen and considered as you make this law.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 41 be amended as proposed by the committee, and the amendment is on 41.1. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 41 as amended.
I put a question that clause 41 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 42.
42.
Sorry, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Chair, if I have due well, the question you moved was on 41.1. And the implication is that what we have carried is 41.1 and we have not carried 41.2. No, Chair, the committee amendment for 41.2 was 1,000 currency points and 1 year respectively. And we have not had a decision on that.
We passed 41, we got 42. 42.
Right, Honorable Chair. The proposal is to amend clause 42 as follows. In subclause 1A, by substituting for the words Vessel Registration Act, the words Inland Water Transport Act 2021. And then by inserting immediately after subclause 1, the following new subclauses. The Chief Fisheries Officer may delegate the power to issue a fish transport license under subsection 1 to a district fisheries officer. This section does not apply to the transportation of fish or fish product for subsistence purposes. In subclause 2, by substituting for the words 5,000 currency points and 3 years, the words 2,000 currency points and 2 years respectively. Justification: the Vessel Registration Act was repealed by the Inland Water Transport Act 2021. Then to permit the Chief Fisheries Officer delegate the power to issue fish transport license to a district fisheries officer whenever necessary to ease accessibility, especially the transportation of fish or fish products on motorcycles, bicycles, tricycles, among others. And then to exempt vehicles used in the transportation of fish or fish products for home consumption from the requirement of transport license. And the currency penalty is too harsh and not commensurate to the offense. I beg to submit.
Honorable Attorney General.
I'm agreeable to the proposed amendment. Madam Chair, I concede.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Chair, I concede.
The correction in the law course referred to 42.1A applies to 41A. That will be a guidelines.
42.
Referred to in 42.1. 42.1 applies to 41A.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 42 be amended as proposed by the committee. Those in favor say aye, to record to nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 42 as amended.
I put a question that clause 42 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary nay. Aye. The ayes have it. And members, the cross-reference in the law in Inland Water Transport Act 2021 refers to clause 42(1)(a) and also applies to clause 41(a). 43.
Clause 43.
Right Honorable Chair, the proposal is that clause 43 be amended in the head note by substituting for the word trade the word mongers. Then in subclause 1, by substituting for the word trade appearing in line 2 the word mongers. Then in C by inserting a new subclause immediately after subclause 1, the following: the Chief Fisheries Officer may delegate the power to issue a fishmonger's license under subsection 1 to a district fisheries officer. Then by substituting for subclause 2 the following: a person who trades in fish or fish products without a fishmonger's license commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 2,000 currency points or to imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or both. Justification: to replace the fish trade licenses with fishmonger's license, since trade licenses are already provided for under the Trade Licensing Act. Then to provide for a fishmonger's license, the issuance of which is based on technical assessment of public health issues and hygienic conditions, and to allow the Chief Fisheries Officer delegate the power to issue fishmonger's license to a district fisheries officer for ease of accessibility. On the currency points, the current fine and penalty is too harsh and not commensurate to the offense. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister, and indeed the currency points and whatever are harsh, because the other ones are of a vessel. Yes.
Clarification.
Yes, Honorable.
Madam Chair, clarification.
Honorable Chair, I'm equally representing the people who are fishermen. And we shall give this interest because a fishermonger or a fish trader should not be given very harsh penalties, but at the same time, of course, we want the lake to be sustained. So it is this House to agree. We shall not give them just to have to deplete the lake just like that, but at the same time, this is their livelihood. They don't have anywhere to go. Some of them totally depend on the lake. So it is this House to decide, and we shall have to vote. So for now, since we are putting the clauses, I will concede. Then when it comes to discussion, we shall agree on it.
Madam Chair, thank you. Madam Chair, under this fish trader license, we have fish market women who sell in very small quantities, 3 or 4 or 5. Now, if you're going to penalize them, if you look at these 5,000 currency points, that is 100 million shillings. It is very prohibitive. It is not.
We have already removed 100 million. We are now on 40 million.
Yes, my
now,
proposal.
You start from 40 million.
My proposal is that why don't we have the penalty based on the quantity that somebody has? If it is below a certain quantity, then there's a certain fine.
That is what currency point?
This is here. It is indicated as 20,000. One currency point is 20,000 units.
Yes.
So if we reduce and say
And
maybe
remember,
one currency,
the fines are in currency points.
yes, so we could suggest that 100 currency points, if it's below, let's say 10 kilos, and then above, we can then have a higher rate.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. On this specific clause, members, the monger's license, a monger is like a hawker or motembei who only uses capital of even not exceeding 1 million. We have these women who are carrying fish, whom you see alongside the roads, who some are using even 50,000 shillings Uganda money. We cannot exert on them a fine of 40 millions. I suggest 20 currency points on this specific clause.
Madam Chair, for me, I support that proposal. 20 currency points will do it because these are our people. They bring the fish, we are the very ones who buy. And if we are not given the opportunity, then what are we doing? We shall be supporting those who are exporting. So I buy that opinion. 20 currency points for now will do. Yes. So we move that we go by 20 currency points and only 20 currency points.
Madam Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
So who is speaking?
This is, I'm the one.
You all sit down.
Thank you, Madam
All
Chair.
of you sit down. But you see, we also need to do something that prohibits these people from continued doing this kind of thing. Now, you're doing fishmongering without a license, and you're going to continue at a disadvantage of the others who are paying. Chair, are you maintaining your position? Of 2,000
Right.
currency points?
Right, Honorable Chair. The penalty which has been proposed is the maximum. But the judicial officer who is presiding can give a lesser penalty. That is just the maximum. But he could even give 100.
Oh, of course, look at the wordings, not exceeding. Not exceeding.
Madam Chair, that would be a good...
Is that okay, Madam Minister?
Chair, Madam Chair, but...
That's okay, Honorable Chair.
You see, Madam Chair, I want us to look at this in two ways. I want us to look at this in two ways. The law should not be made to massage people's wrongs. It should be made to prevent, to prohibit the wrong act they are doing.
Yes.
But we should also be considerate of their stand at a particular point. But it is only the judicial officer who is in a position to determine this person's stand. That's why the judicial officer has the power to say this much or less. That's why the law says not exceeding. So this is the bar, but they can give a lesser amount. I beg to submit.
Up next on UBC, brought to you by Keep the Lights On. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money, simple, secure, borderless.
Hujambo mtazamaji wa UBC TV, ifuatayo ni taarifa ya habari kutoka hapa UBC TV. Lakini kabla sijakupa habari kwa kirefu, huwapa kwanza ndo muktasari wa habari. Karibu sana. Vya wizi, mauaji, ukatili wa kinyumbani na ajali vyaripotiwa Mei Mosi na siku ya Eid al-Fitri. Waziri Dr. Mwingo alalamikia wizi wa vifaa vya kusomea shule za umma. Divisheni ya Kawempe yaongoza kwa magonjwa katika mfumo wa kupumua. Katika habari yetu ya kwanza, waziri wa nchi wa elimu ya juu Dr. John Chrysostom Mwingo ana wasiwasi kutokana na wizi wa vifaa vya masomo vinavyotolewa na serikali katika shule za sekondari za elimu ya bure ambazo zimetoka kuzinduliwa hivi karibuni. Hii ni kufuatia wizi wa kompyuta uliofanyika kwa kuvunja dirisha katika shule ya sekondari ya elimu ya bure ya Luwube Seed Secondary School Katikamu wilayani Luwero. Tupate taarifa zaidi. Watu wasiojulikana wamevunja dirisha na kuiba kompyuta 8 zilizotolewa kama msaada na serikali katika shule ya sekondari ya elimu ya bure ya Luwube Seed Secondary School Katikamu wilaya ya Luwero. Waziri wa nchi wa elimu ya juu Dr. John Chrysostom Mwingo anahimiza wananchi kuwa wazalendo na kutunza mali za serikali, kwani kompyuta hizo zilitolewa kurahisisha mazingira ya kielimu kwa wanafunzi hao na kuboresha sekta ya elimu. Hivi majuzi, serikali iliendeleza uzinduzi wa shule za elimu ya bure za sekondari katika kila wilaya nchini, ambapo mbali na kutoa msaada wa kompyuta, ilitoa msaada wa vifaa vingine vya kusomea kama vitabu.
All that we have installed in our schools is protected. Nobody should do all that we are having, all that we have been given should be protected to enable even those other generations to come to benefit from these services. And that's why I'm calling upon all of us to become patriotic, to develop that patriotic heart.
Waziri Mwingo alitoa malalamiko kuhusiana na wizi wa vifaa hivyo akiwa katika mkutano wa kila mwaka wa wanafunzi wa Luwero wanaolipiwa karo ya shule kupitia fuko lake la Bamunanika Constituency Education Fund, ambapo mkutano huo ulifanyika katika taasisi ya mafunzo ya ustadi wa kazi za mikono ya Bamunanika Mulaje Technical Institute wilaya ya Luwero. Mheshimiwa Mwingo ameahidi kwamba ataendelea kulipa karo ya masomo kwa wanafunzi kutoka familia duni na amewaomba wahusika kutoingiza masuala ya siasa kwenye mpango huo wa ufadhili wa masomo. Mheshimiwa Dr. Mwingo anawashauri wazazi kuwajibika na kuwaonya dhidi ya kuwaoza watoto wao badala ya kuwapeleka shule kwa sababu serikali itawaadhibu. Mkuu wa kamati ya usalama wa wilaya ya Luwero, Mariam Kaberuka, amemsifu Waziri Mwingo kwa kuendeleza juhudi za kuboresha sekta ya elimu Luwero. Kuhusu mizozo ya ardhi, Bi Mariam anashauri watu wa Luwero kushirikiana kumaliza tatizo hilo.
Mulidde abaana b'Abaganda bammwe abaafa nammwe mugenda kufa abamwe babalye. Bannange ettaka lifuusa akataka teryeyongera naye ffe tweyongera. President Museveni abagamba mukozese ettaka, mukole companies eza family, naye okusalaasala abantu mugamba tuteese naye tebateesa kirala, tuteese tutunde.
Mkutano huo ulihudhuriwa na askofu wa dayosisi ya Luwero na maafisa wengine. Polisi katika maeneo yaliyo nje kidogo na mji wa Kampala imearifu kwamba imewakamata washukiwa wa wizi mdogo mdogo wakati wa sherehe za siku ya Eid al-Fitr jana na makosa ya ukatili wa kinyumbani. Polisi pia imeripoti visa 119 vya ajali vilivyopelekea vifo vya watu 23 wakati wa siku za likizo ya Mei Mosi na jana pia siku ya Eid al-Fitr. Tupate taarifa zaidi. Polisi imetoa ripoti ya vitendo vya uhalifu vilivyofanyika wakati wa siku ya likizo ya Mei Mosi na jana siku ya Eid al-Fitr. Wizi wa vitu vidogo vidogo ni miongoni mwa uhalifu ulioripotiwa.
On allegations of theft, there are some phones that have also been recovered, and we shall be relaying this information further and informing the owners to come and pick these phones at the relevant police stations, as I will indicate in the statement I will be writing earlier on.
Wakati wa swala za Eid al-Fitr jana, kuna baadhi ya wezi waliokamatwa kwa wizi wa viatu vilivyoachwa kwenye milango ya misikiti.
During prayers at Old Kampala, we were participating in pickpocketing, stealing some property from people who had gone for worshiping.
Waandaaji wa matamasha nao walipewa jukumu la kuhakikisha kwamba kumbi za starehe zina ulinzi wa kutosha. Bila hivyo, baadhi yao walifungiwa matamasha walioandaa na wengine 37 kukamatwa na polisi.
Able to arrest 37 suspects who are also found at different venues of concerts that were in the jurisdiction of Katwe Police. Katwe Police hosted the biggest number of concerts, about 7.
Jana siku ya Eid al-Fitr, askari wa usalama barabarani waliwakamata wavunjaji sheria za barabarani 9679.
Reckless driving, there are 1,709 offenders. DMCs, that is driving vehicles which are in a dangerous mechanical condition, there are 2,089.
Wakati wa siku za likizo za Mei Mosi na Eid al-Fitr, jumla ya visa vya ajali vilivyo 119 viliripotiwa, ambapo kati ya hizo 62 vilikuwa vibaya, huku watu 36 wakinusurika na majeraha madogo madogo, watu 88 wakipata majeraha makubwa na watu 23 kufariki.
Drive with discipline and respect all the road signages on the road to fight carnage on the roads.
Polisi imewataka wamiliki wa vituo vya mafuta kuimarisha ulinzi nyakati za usiku, la sivyo wasitishe zamu za usiku. Hii ni baada ya kuongezeka kwa wizi katika vituo vya mafuta.
Fuel station Semto branch in Nakaseke was raided by 5 suspects who were armed with iron bars. They also indicate that their assailants had guns, which we are also investigating.
Vitendo vya mauaji navyo vinaongoza katika uhalifu pamoja na vitendo vya kujiua na ukatili wa kinyumbani. Unaendelea kutizama taarifa hii ya habari kutoka hapa UBC TV. Serikali huenda ikajikuta inagharimia kwa kiasi kikubwa matibabu kutokana na magonjwa yanayoathiri mfumo wa kupumua mwilini. Magonjwa hayo huenda yakawaathiri zaidi wakazi wengi wa mji wa Kampala kutokana na ongezeko la uchafuzi wa hewa. Haya yamesemwa wakati wa kikao cha waandishi wa habari cha Uganda Media Center.
The air pollution levels recorded in all divisions of Kampala were more than 5 times higher than the World Health Organization guidelines.
Kulingana na ripoti kutoka kampuni ya Air Quality Monitoring Network, uchafuzi wa hewa kwenye mji wa Kampala miezi 7 iliyopita umeongezeka kupita kiwango kinachotarajiwa na shirika la afya duniani World Health Organization. Katika ripoti hiyo, divisheni ya Kawempe inaongoza kwa uchafuzi wa hewa ikifuatwa na Busega, Kampala Civic Division, Chireka na Kira miongoni mwa maeneo mengine.
The situation is not very good. Kawempe Division recorded the highest concentration at 57 micrograms per meter cubed, which was 10 times higher
than the World Health Organization guideline for ambient air quality.
Vichochezi vya uchafuzi wa mazingira au hewa vinatajwa kuwa ni hewa kutoka magari yaliyo na tatizo la kiufundi, vumbi kwenye barabara, hewa kutoka kwenye viwanda vya Kampala na vitu vingine. Kilimo cha kitalu nyumba kinapendekezwa kudhibiti uchafuzi wa hewa pamoja na utupaji halali wa takataka miongoni mwa suluhisho zingine. Kulingana na Dr. Daniel Okello, kama hakuna hatua yoyote itakayochukuliwa, ongezeko la uchafuzi wa hewa litasababisha vifo vingi kutokana na magonjwa ambayo uzito wake utazidi ugonjwa wa ukimwi.
Due to bad air quality, we are losing 26,000 people, and due to HIV, 22,000 people. So you'd actually see where the effects are.
Vilevile kumekuwepo ongezeko la magonjwa ya kupumua ya asthma. Hata hivyo, juhudi zimefanywa kupunguza viwango vya uchafuzi wa hewa kupitia upandaji wa miti, hamasa zinazofanywa na baadhi ya wadau pia. Uchafuzi wa hewa husababisha magonjwa ya moyo, saratani ya mapafu, magonjwa ya pumzi na asthma miongoni mwa mengine. Na katika habari inayofuata, waandishi wa habari wametoa wito wa kuboreshewa mazingira ya kazi wanapotenda kazi zao. Baadhi ya waandishi wa habari wamerejelea kauli hiyo wakati wa maadhimisho ya siku ya uhuru wa vyombo vya habari. Tume ya mawasiliano nchini UCC pamoja na baraza la waandishi wa habari vinahimizwa kuunga mkono shughuli za uandishi wa habari na kupigia debe swala la kuongeza mishahara waandishi wa habari pamoja na kuwaboreshea mazingira ya kazi. Tarehe 3 Mei kila mwaka ni siku ambayo ilitengwa kuadhimisha uhuru wa vyombo vya habari na maadili yake. Hapa nchini siku hiyo hutumika kuwakumbuka waandishi wa habari waliokufa wakiwa kazini na wale ambao wamepitia changamoto kubwa wakati wa utekelezaji wao wa kazi. John Cliff Wamala, mmoja kati ya waandishi wa habari ambao walishawahi kushambuliwa wakiwa kazini, anaamini kuwa uhuru wa vyombo vya habari ni kitu ambacho kinawezekana iwapo vyombo vya habari vitakuwa na muungano wao ambao unaweza kuwasaidia kutafutia suluhu matatizo yao. Tupate mapumziko machache tu kutoka studio, kisha nitarejea na habari iliyobaki.
Be alert. Do not share your Airtel Money PIN number with anyone. Airtel Uganda employees will never ask for your Airtel Money PIN number on call, SMS, or by email. All SIM card registrations, SIM card verifications, or SIM swaps are done at clearly branded Airtel shops and not on phone. To report any fraudulent activity, please call 100 immediately. The official calling number for Airtel promotions is 0200 100 100. Stay alert on Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
A World Cup in the desert? The first one in the Middle East. The first to be held at the end of the year? That's crazy. Get ready for spectacular moves, high-flying saves, unbelievable goals, out-of-this-world celebrations.
Would you believe it? What a moment here!
All 64 matches live. That's over 5,000 action-packed minutes of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Now that's crazy. Catch all the action only on SuperSport, your world of champions. On Gold TV. Love it.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Hii ni UBC TV na katika habari yetu ya mwisho kwa leo, Katibu Mkuu wa NRM Jenerali Richard Todwong amehimiza serikali za mitaa na wenye viti wa wilaya kutekeleza ilani ya maono ya mwaka 2040 kabla ya uchaguzi mkuu ujao wa mwaka 2026. Bwana Todwong ametoa kauli hiyo wakati wa utoaji mafunzo kwa wenye viti wa wilaya kwenye mkoa wa Bunyoro, Rwenzori na mikoa